Hi all, welcome to this cheapest icons for Petit, Schmeichel and Hernandez. Hopefully you find this useful, guys. As always, let me know in the comments down below if you've done any of these at all and if you used any of the icons at all that you've done previously, like Rui Costa for example. So if we can smash links, be awesome. Sub to the channel if you're new. Follow me on Twitter, G is a legend. All the links are down below for playlists on the channel and social media links as always. And apologies guys for getting this up later than expected, but the screen boost kind of changed the prices quite significantly. So Petit Monaco route is 18k to do, which is quite impressive. I will leave all the links, guys, for all of the routes down below. Most expensive players for this are Fabinho, Falcao and Baldi Dial. The rest of the team fairly cheap actually, which is quite handy. And all these routes bar, I think a couple of routes only require chemistry, so be fully aware of that. The Barcelona route costs around 13k, and the reason why there is no centre mid, right centre mid, is because that is one position that's covered by Petit. That's why I put Niete, just to kind of prove that the first squad worked. But this route fairly straightforward. Mascherano is probably the most expensive player that you have to buy. The EPL route fairly straightforward, about 24k to do. Most expensive players really are Cahill and Pedro. The rest of the team is not too bad. Cazorla and Mustafi aren't too bad either. But all the routes fairly straightforward and you can do them for cheap. The 84 route for Petit is about 45k to do and wasn't too bad really. Leno is the most expensive spend, but other than that fairly straightforward. You're not going to be breaking the bank too much to get this in terms of putting together, so I was quite chuffed with putting how well that went. The 95 route, the 85 route, is around 95 to 100k. This route does not need scream cards, but you can do it with scream cards and it still works out about the same, I'm noticing, which is quite interesting. But it also depends what people are paying for scream cards, so be fully aware of that. But Hernandez and Leno and Insigne, the most expensive players for the 85. 86 route is 150k to do. This is when you have Scream Sturridge, Scream Bartra, Scream Sacco, and you're pretty much sorted. And just put Forsberg, Keita, Kagawa, as long as you have that triangle. And this is what I've noticed for quite a few of the routes. If you have those three, you're going to find this very, very straightforward. Draxler and Mustafi are others that you regularly use, and the 87 Scream Ribery is who you have with Kovacic and Sacco as well. And then you just kind of rely on Bender, the Sven Bender, the one that's the cheaper of the two, because the other Lash is slightly more expensive, about a K or two, but not too bad, and came at about 220. When you move on to Brøndby for Schmeichel, this costs around 6.5k. Krohn is the cheapest guy I've noticed, and as long as you just go this EPL route, you're going to find it fairly straightforward. You can kind of tweak it about accordingly when players, if you've not done it, and you'll end up with cheaper options. The Sporting route costs around 33k. This isn't too bad. This can fall into one of the loyalty routes. But you can get away with it fairly straightforward as well. Doesn't hurt to have the loyalty, to be honest, actually, in this one, so I will admit that. EPL 24-25k for this route. You don't need loyalty at all, as long as if you have, in this case we've got Klaassen. You can also swap him for Sigurdsson and it'll work as well. But Sigurdsson usually is working out just slightly cheaper just now than Klaassen, so be fully aware of that. The Denmark route, this was only relatively cheap because Anderson and Braithwaite are relatively cheap, but cost around 9k to do, and I just relied heavily on going the BBVA route, which seems to be a very common route I'm noticing for cheap, so be fully aware of that. Then the 84 route costs around 50k to do. No special cards really to rely on, but you've got plenty 84s that are just kind of stored away in the team to build this up. Pedro, Bernardo Silva, Dzeko, Khedira, fairly expensive, but you can get away with it, to be honest. 85s, more scream cards. You've got Boateng, you have Bender in there, and you have Inform, Griffo, but fairly straightforward really, in all honesty. I didn't really find any real difficulty about it for 115k. So I was quite chuffed with that actually. It's at the moment not too bad. The 86 route, you're getting more scream cards. You have Scream, Van Damme, Sacco and Kovacic and Forster, so 4 scream cards. And then you have Informed Sanabria as well. He is kind of Informed Sanabria and Informed Sarabia. Be fully aware of them, who that is. That's 82, and you're fairly straightforward from there to get your last route. Hernandez Mexican route is around 7k. This is pretty much as cheap as you're going to get. You're not going to get much more leeway unless you have stuff packed. But as a whole, fairly straightforward. Don't have to break sweat for a 76 rated squad. It's a 7k spend. So I was quite chuffed with that. 5k for the North and South. BBVA and Russian League is the option. The left back was the cheapest. You can put Shenikov in, but then you have to have a position change from a left wing back to left back to get the chemistry. So be full out. You can, depending on who you end up getting cheaper, you can go for this dude or Shenikov. The Mexican is 15k. I would recommend just going the chemistry route. The loyalty route. In my case, my three centre mids would have the loyalty, and I thought Dos Santos was packed, but clearly I've not played enough games with him. I thought even then he was packed, but I've not played 10 games. But it's 15k all told. The 83 is about 34k. Get Gago. I keep going for Gago in my head, but it's Perez of Boca Juniors. And this, just follow this route. You're fairly straightforward. Biggest spend really is Asensio really, but Ben Yedder and Nzonzi just kind of help the chemistry. The 84 is 78k, and you've got Sanabria, who's your big spend along with Torreira, and then it's just a case of putting all the requisite players of the right nations in the league to kind of slot you in. Navas as well is fairly expensive, but it's a BBVA route in all honesty, and it works to a T. Then 85 is 120k. Your big spends here are like Hilton in all honesty and Depay, but it's coming in at around 120k, and it's not too bad really for what. So the last of the routes is the 86 Hernandez, which sits back around 140k. Bender, Bartra, Sacco and Sturridge are your scream cards to rely on, and then you've got to rely on the usual players like Kagawa, Forsberg, Keita, Pedro, Draxler. But all in all, guys, it's not too bad in terms of breakdown. All the routes excluding the Icon for Hernandez is 400k, and then about 575 for the Icon. For Schmeichel it's around 425, 430k, and then for Petit it's 600k roughly to do. Can be done maybe a tad cheaper, and then 1.15 mil once you include the 575 for the Icon. But hopefully you find this useful, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you've done any of them at all. I've heard a few Schmeichel rumours. If you like, always sub to the channel for new, and I'll catch you all later.